Hello and welcome back to Algebra. Here we are in Chapter 4, Section 1, writing equations in slope-intercept form. Now you are familiar with this form, so recall slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where b is the y-intercept. Y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. The slope equals rise over run. M is a slope, it's dope, that's fun. Rise is the change in y. Subtract points 2 and 1, that's right. Run through the horizontal plane, it's a change in x. Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay, so in slope-intercept form, b, y-intercept, m, the slope. Okay, now very easy if they give you slope and y-intercept to write an equation. Okay, remember, slope is m, and y-intercept is b, okay, and y equals mx plus b, so we have y equals negative 3, x plus b is 1/2. There it is. It's that easy. All right, let's try another one. Slope is m, y equals, this is m, this is b, 0x plus negative 2. Now we're going to simplify this a little bit. We don't like the plus negative, plus a minus. We don't want two signs next to each other. Also, 0 times x is 0. So y equals 0 plus minus is just minus, or y equals negative 2. Okay, that's a 0 slope. Y equals negative 2 is a 0 slope. That means it's a horizontal line at negative 2. All right, using graphs to write equations. Okay, I can look at this graph and I can read the slope, or I can find the slope from the coordinates. So first, if I was to read it, I need 2 points. So I can use this point and that point, or I could use this one and that one all the way up there. So here, ideally I'll go to the closest one. So that's up 3 over 2. So that was up 3 over 2 for my slope. I'll do it differently for example B, show you the other way to do it with the coordinates. Okay, so I read that from the graph, and I'm also reading on the graph here that the y-intercept is at negative 3. So B is at negative 3 right there. So y equals 3 over 2, x plus negative 3. So we will simplify the plus and negative. Y equals 3 over 2, x minus 3. All right, here we'll do it the other way. We will say the slope is change in y over change in x. All right, so the change in y from 2 to negative 1, I have to subtract 3. So the change in y is minus 3. To get from 0 to 4, I have to add 4. So the change in x is 4. So my slope is negative 3/4. All right, and then the y-intercept is when x is 0. Y-intercept is when x is 0, so it's 0, 2. So b is just the y value of that. That's 2. So we have y equals negative 3/4 x plus 2. Now you notice the slope is negative, it's going down. Okay, so quick and easy check. I could also check down 3, 1, 2, 3 over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we are. All right, using points to write equations. Okay, first thing I'm going to do when I have 2 points is find the slope. Remember, slope is the change in y over the change in x. So from 5 to get to negative 1, I have to subtract 6. From negative 3 to get to 0, I have to add 3. So I have negative 6 over 3, and that can be simplified down to negative 2. That's my slope. M equals negative 2. Now they haven't given me a y-intercept. So I'm going to go to y equals mx plus b. Plug in what I do know. I don't know b, but I do know m. So I'm going to plug that in right here. And I also know y and x. I have two of those points. I just picked my favorite one. My favorite one is always the one using 0, because that makes a variable disappear. That's lots of fun. All right, so -1 is the y, equals m is -2, x is 0, and then we will find b. Okay, -2 times 0 is 0, so b is -1. So now I can write y equals -2 x minus 1, because it's -1. There we go. Zip. Okay. Again, start out by finding the slope. Change in y over change in x. Okay, the change in y here is 0. Doesn't matter what the change in x is if the change in y is 0, because 0 divided by anything is 0. So this would be 8, but 0 over 8 is still 0, right? So that's the slope. M is 0. All right, so if the slope is 0, y equals 0x plus b. Doesn't matter what x is. B is going to be whatever y is, right? If it's a 0 slope, it never goes through the x-axis. It only goes through the y-axis. Okay, so I can plug in here for y, the -5 equals 0 times 0 plus b. So b is -5. And that is actually something you can see right away. If there is no change in y, then that is a horizontal line. A 0 slope is a horizontal line, and that means the y-intercept is going to be at -5, right? Because y is always -5. So if it's a horizontal line, the y-intercept is going to be the same as the y value. All right, writing a linear function. Okay, so we've been given this in function value terms. Write a linear function f with the values 0, 10, and 6, and 34. Now remember that f of something was just a nickname for y. So it says y equals 10, right? So this is y, the 10. F of x, in parentheses, that's the x, right? So I can write an ordered pair 0 and 10. And then here I can write an ordered pair 6 and 34. And there we go. Now we have 2 points. We can write an equation. Beautiful. Okay, from 10 to 34, we go up 24. From 0 to 6, we go up 6. So 24 divided by 6, that is 4, and that is my slope. Now that I know the slope, we're going to pick a point. My favorite point is the one with the 0, so that's what I'm going to pick. 10 is equal to 4 is my m. Okay, y equals mx plus b, just so you can see what I'm doing here. Plug in the 0 for the x, plus b. So I have 4 plus b, 0 times 4. Oops. I have 0, that's why I picked that point, plus b. So b is 10. And therefore, y equals 4x plus 10. Okay, if we're working on a real-life problem, we talk about linear models. A linear model is a linear function that models a real-life situation, where m is the constant rate of change, and here this is important, b is the initial or starting value of y. So if you have a graph, the starting value, let's say this is money, okay, right there, that's how much money you have to begin with, or is in the account to begin with, or whatever the situation is. That's your starting value right there, the y-intercept. Okay, excluding hydropower, U.S. power plants use renewable energy sources to generate 105 million megawatt hours of electricity in 2007. By 2012, the amount of electricity generated had increased to 219 million. 219 million in 2012. 105 in 2007. Write a linear model that represents the number of megawatt hours generated by non-hydropower renewable energy sources as a function of the number of years since 2007. Okay, there's a lot of fluff information here. We need to weed out and see what's the important information. Okay, use the model to predict the number of megawatt hours that will be generated in 2017. Okay, so we can set up a graph for this so you can visualize it. Okay, and here we have years since 2007. Now, I'll briefly write 2007 is our first year. Okay, I'll put 7 there, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and so on. Okay, so that's the years since 2007. That would be 1 year in 2008, 2 years in 2009, 3 years in 2010, 4 years in 2011, and 5 years since 2001. So this is years since 2007. Okay, and then so on. So in 27 years, that's going to be 10 years since 2007. All right, now we'll erase these so those don't confuse you any further. All right, and then here, let's say we've got 100, we've got 200, 300, 400, and this is the energy in million megawatt hours. Okay, so in 2007 we're starting at 105, somewhere right around there, and then in 2012, which is 5 years later, we are at 219, so approximately like this. Now we're going to use that to predict. Okay, so we'll see somewhere in 2010 over here we could read a value. Now, if we graph very accurately, we could use the graph. But instead, we're going to make a model for this. Okay, so this is my y-intercept. So I can either say this point is 0 and 105, or I can say that's my y-intercept. And then the next one is 5 and 219, and I can make an equation in slope-intercept form out of this. Now here's my y-intercept, 105, because that's 0, so b is 105. 105, and my slope is from 105 to 219, and that is 114. So that's 114 here, divided by 5, gives me a slope m of 114 divided by 5 is 22.8. So y equals 22.8 x plus 105. Now I want to know this in 10 years. So my x is going to be 10. So 22.8 times 10 plus 105. So that's 228 plus 105, and that is 333. So, in the year 2017, we will be generating approximately 333 million megawatt hours renewable energy. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, writing equations in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Fun times. Check in again next time.